Coming up, I'll talk about another pair of smart glasses that I am very interested in, and I'll compare them with their features to the Ray-Ban Metas and the Oakley Metas. I'll also tell you where I've been for all this time. It's been a month. Stick with me.
From Studio B in Swarthmore, this is I Can't See You. Now, here's David.
Welcome back to I Can't See You, your window into a world where blindness doesn't dictate ability. My name is David, at David Benj on all the socials. I'm really glad you're here for this episode, and I'm sorry I've been nowhere to be found over the last month. And I'll get into that in a couple of minutes, but I really wanted to talk primarily today about the Ally Solos. They are a new smart glasses that are coming out at the end of September by the company called Envision. Now, the difference between them and the Ray-Ban Meta glasses are primarily they are smart glasses for blind folks and low vision folks. They are not a social media production type of smart glasses that happens to do AI and help blind folks out. These were made, the Ally Solos were made specifically for folks who are blind and low vision. And on White Canes Connect episode 143, Lisa and I spoke to Karthik Kannan from Envision, who told us all about the upcoming glasses. Now, I really love the idea of these. They are a little bit more expensive than the Ray-Bans that I already own. And I'll get into a couple of differences as well. But one of the things that I love and am excited about these Ally Solos are that they are smart glasses first, not a social media content producer first with AI attributes. They will not record video as of now. Maybe in the future they will. They can take pictures at this point once they come out, but right off the bat, they will not shoot video. They have a lot of great things going into them. And with some of the issues that I've had with my Ray-Bans as of late, I'm really excited to try them out. And I'm just looking forward to something. Again, just like my phone, I have a love-hate relationship with the Ray-Ban Metas because of some of the things that go on. I was in the car the other day with Liz, and I had these glasses on because it was sunny out at the time, but it was going to be dusk and then nighttime by the time we were coming back. And I hate to have my sunglasses on at nighttime, not like the Corey Hart song. I'd rather not wear my sunglasses at night because what I see, which is very limited, is even less if it's dark out and I have the sunnies on. So I wore the Ray-Bans because of that. We were going to be outside, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to put these on just in case it's really bright out. I didn't think it would be too bad because of where we were going. We were going to an old neighbor's house. Not that they're old. I mean, they're older than us, but, but a former neighbor, let's put it that way. So we were going there, and I thought, okay, I'll wear these. And I hesitated because of all the things that go on with the Ray-Ban Metas, and I'm guessing with the Oakley Metas as well, where I was having a conversation with somebody and all of a sudden texts and WhatsApp messages started coming in, and I had to ask the person I was right across from a table, hey, could you repeat that because I'm getting all these notifications. And it's annoying to someone you're having a conversation with for that to happen. And I know that I could have dismissed them or shut down the glasses, but I didn't want to do that. It's just something that my my issue is when I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, I forget that I've put it on Do Not Disturb, and then people can't get a hold of me. And so I tend not to unless it's something pretty important. So that's one of the issues. Now, the other day, as I mentioned, Liz and I are in the car. We're driving. We were actually picking up the pizza for our Pizza by the Pool night with our former neighbors. They have a pool. And on the way to pick up the pizza, I got a call. And the call kept switching between my glasses and the headset of my phone and back and forth and back and forth. Now, that happens occasionally with my AirPods when I'm sitting in front of the computer and maybe I'm listening to a podcast on my phone, but I just came down to check something really quick on the computer. I basically take one AirPod out and I listen to what my computer's telling me, but the podcast continues to play. Because if I stop the podcast, then my computer comes through my AirPods and all is gone, because then it takes me 3 minutes to reset my AirPods to go back to recognizing just the phone and not the computer after I exit Studio B. So that was one of the issues. And it's a pretty big issue because I hate to take a call when I have the glasses on. I finally had to take the glasses off and sit them on my lap and just hold the phone. And that's how I was able to continue the call. So those two things, and it happened to be the same person that I was talking to, both the conversation a few days earlier in person where I kept getting these notifications, as well as the person I was on the phone with just the other day. So it's just an issue. And I am hopeful that it works really well, meaning the Ally Solos work really well when it's paired to your phone. I don't know that it will. And I'm hesitant. I didn't order them right off the bat when they started doing the pre-sale because they had them for a great price. They were under $400 for the pre-sale. And I believe right now they're $499. I didn't order them because I went to order them and I looked at them and I remembered the Celeste glasses, which were something that I got in on the beta. They were over $600 and they were so uncomfortable, I couldn't wear them for more than a couple of minutes. So I'm hesitant because of that. And a friend of mine told me, hey, you know what? They have a 30-day return policy. Just get them and try them out. And if you don't like them, you can send them back. So unless they've gone up again, I will probably get them. There's a couple of other things that may play into it as well, but I'm really excited for them because when the Ray-Ban Metas work, they are fantastic. About a week ago, I went to Harrisburg. I shot some pictures at 30th Street Station and I took some video and so forth. Now, one of the things that was really cool, I had gotten a text message from Amtrak about my train, and it was going to be gate 9, track 9. And I'm not really sure which side of the track or which side of the platform 9 is and 10 is. I don't want to get on the wrong train. Now, just so happens that when I went down to the platform, there was no train on track 10, so I wouldn't have made that error. And when I got down to the train, there was somebody from Amtrak there that said, oh yeah, it's right over here, blah, blah, blah. And I got on the train, no issues. But when I walked into 30th Street Station, I had some time. And I went over to the information desk, which sits right in the middle. Now, they're doing a lot of construction at 30th Street Station, so it's a little bit different to maneuver. And so I walked over to the desk, and I just stood there. There was no one behind the desk. And I stood there for 5 to 10 minutes. And again, I wasn't rushed, so I wasn't panicking or anything. I was just waiting. Finally, I got tired of waiting. And I knew that there is a big board right above the desk. There is the big board that talks about all the trains and where they're going, what their train number is, when they depart, what track, what gate, so forth. So I said, hey, Meta, what's in front of me? You are looking at a desk with a big board with train schedules behind it. Okay. What can you tell me about the train to Harrisburg? And it mentioned the train number and the departure time. And it said, leaving from track 9. So I knew that hadn't changed, which was the main concern I had. So I went back over to gate 9 and I just stood right outside the barriers that they open up once the train comes down. Or comes in. And when I said, hey, Meta, thanks. The glasses then said, you're welcome. Have a safe trip to Harrisburg. And I thought, wow, that's kind of cool. And so things like that where I don't have to take my phone out or put AirPods or earbuds in to listen because, again, the Ray-Ban Metas, just like the Ally Solos has the speaker right in the stem, right near your ears. So that makes it easy to hear what's going on. Now, if it's super loud, sometimes it's difficult. But for the most part, you can always hear what's going on. And when, as I've mentioned before, when you listen to music on the Ray-Ban Metas, outstanding. It sounds great. When you listen to emails, again, sounds great. Now, I've had issues when listening to emails, as I've mentioned in the past, at a doctor's office, and they called my name. I didn't hear them because I was paying attention to the email, and it was just loud enough that I couldn't hear them call my name. But again, all of that stuff is great, but some of the things that make it hard sometimes for me to say, oh, let me grab the Ray-Bans over my plain old dumb Oakleys that are not any kind of smart glasses. I just put them on and they just do what they're supposed to do, keep the sun out of my eyes, and they wrap around so nothing comes in, and they're outstanding. And to that point, I record every week something called Federation Focus over on the NFB of Pennsylvania channel at NFB of PA, if you want to check that out. Every week I do a video there. So that's where I've been holding out on you guys. If you want to see that, just go to the NFB of PA channel, again, at NFB of PA on YouTube. And I talk about the different events that are coming up each week, meetings and fundraisers and things like that. The last one was actually pretty good because we were in the hotel for the state convention, and I took some B-roll there. I shot some other in front of the camera stuff there. And I love doing that stuff. I would love to do that more for this channel, for you to see if you're not listening. If you're listening, I will release it as a podcast episode because my intention is there will be audio description. And if you are fully sighted and you're listening to me, when you use let's say you're using Apple TV or Prime on your phone and you have audio description on, you don't need to see what's going on because the audio description tells you. I've been watching a show called Countdown on Prime, and the audio description is outstanding. I watch the screen occasionally, and sometimes it's kind of funny because depending on how the dialogue is, Joe gets into his car. Meanwhile, in the video that I'm watching, Joe is still walking to the car. And it's kind of funny. I'm like, oh, I hope I could see that if they say there's a big explosion or something like that. I get excited for something like that if it says beforehand. Obviously, if it's after, and maybe I can't see the big fireball, but I can at least hear the explosion. Still pretty cool. So when I do videos for whichever channel, because I've had some mistakes in the past where when I've processed the audio, any kind of sound that you might have heard was wiped out because it wasn't me speaking. So I'm going to be very intentional when I do something where I'm not just standing here in Studio B talking to you, addressing the camera. So I'm hopeful that once these Ally Solos come out, I'll be able to give them a good run, whether it's when I go up to see Jane in New York. Laugh for Sight is October 27th, and tickets will go on sale soon, usually right after Labor Day. And that's at laughforsight.com. I will let you know when that happens because that's always fun. And I've been talking to Brian about it. There's a few confirmed folks for it at this point. There are still a lot of folks to bring in. I know one of the groups, two of the people coming in are husband and wife, Bonnie McFarlane and Rich Voss. They were... We didn't realize the first time we had seen them, and Jane and I were laughing because Jane said, oh, I really loved Bonnie, and Bonnie had gone on before Rich, and she was saying how dumb her husband was and this and that and the other, and then Rich came on, and he said something about his wife. Oh, yeah, she was just on before me. And so it just was hysterical the way she was talking about him. So again, it's a lot of fun. If you're in the Northeast and you can get to New York City, October 27th, it's Laugh for Sight at the Gotham Comedy Club. Once tickets are on sale, I'll have links in the description and show notes, and you'll be able to go and order them. And they have an auction beforehand. They do some live auction items. The live auction items are usually pretty pricey. This year, I know one of the live auction items is lunch in LA for two with Henry Winkler. So that should be very cool. I'm interested to see how that goes. I am not going to bid on that. I'm not carrying that kind of cash around. I'm interested when the Ally Solos come out, how they perform compared to the Ray-Ban Metas. Because again, there are some issues. And I don't know, it's just a difficult thing to talk with the Ray-Ban sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't hear you. Sometimes, most times, dictation is crazy. And I usually do dictation because of the way my hands are. Liz watched me the other day drop my phone, and I can only guess how much that is hurting my phone. And it's not that old. I think we've had it coming up on 2 years. So it's a 15. So maybe the 17s. I need one in a bubble wrapped case when I use it. But using dictation to send a text message, I have to preface, I'm using the Ray-Ban Metas to dictate this, so it may not come out exactly as I say. And sometimes Jane will get it. Sometimes you don't have any idea what I've just dictated. So I'm interested in the Ally Solos because of that, because there are some gaps like that in the performance that make it difficult to wear them. A lot of times when I'm going somewhere, I will think long and hard, do I really need these? Because if I don't, I'll wear the Oakley dumb glasses, which will keep the sun out of my eyes and do nothing else. Or do I take the Ray-Bans, which again, I have the transition lenses. So when I'm inside in a store or it's dark out, like I mentioned, they are almost clear. In fact, I think they are clear. I can't really tell. But in the hot sun, when it's really bright out and I'm out and about walking around, they get dark. So it's nice. They're very comfortable. That's one thing I really like about them. I could wear them all day without bothering me. So again, not like the Celeste glasses. So I'm interested with the Ally Solos because I love not taking my phone out to wave it around and try and hear what I'm seeing or having to take a picture and use Be My Eyes. And you can do all that with the Ray-Ban Metas, and hopefully with the Ally Solos will be similar to that. Now, you probably have to learn a few more phrases to get it to do what you want it to do, but I'm excited for that. So check out episode 143 of White Canes Connect. The easiest way is whitecanesconnect.com/143, or find it on Apple, Spotify, and all the other places you get podcasts. But I'm really excited to try those. And also a little bit nervous because, again, I don't want to have an issue with, again, the Celeste glasses, the ears where it was so wide, they just hurt like you wouldn't believe. Now, there's been a couple of reasons why I haven't been on a great recording schedule on this channel. I mentioned that I do a video every week on the NFB channel, NFB PA channel. Let's not get carried away that I'm on the national channel. At NFB of PA. But where have I been here? Here's a couple of things. I am the convention chair for the National Federation of the Blind State Convention coming up in Harrisburg this year, November 13th to the 16th. If you live in Pennsylvania or close by, there is a lot of value that you get when you go to a state convention. It's not the mayhem and amount of people that you get at national convention where there is a ton of stuff that you learn and get inspired from. But if you are in the area, whether you're in Maryland, New York, any place close, our state convention is going to be fantastic. It's for 4 days. The 13th starts off, which is the Thursday of the event, with a senior possibilities fair. That is really important for folks who are newly blind. They're older, their vision has decreased over the years from whatever they may have, RP, macular degeneration, glaucoma, whatever it might be. And those folks really get some stuff out of the Senior Possibilities Fair from 9 to noon on the first day. And that is a separate ticket. So you don't even need to go to the convention to be part of that. There's a separate ticket. It's $20. You get breakfast and you'll learn a lot of stuff that maybe you didn't know. You'll learn independence, you'll learn mobility, you'll learn accessibility, and you also learn about different things that are going on where people may be trying to scam you out of things. And it's not because you can't see, it's because you're older. So that's something that's good. Now, if you do go to the convention, that really kicks off on Thursday afternoon. There's two things that we have going on. We've got the tech seminar, which is always a great thing. because we talk about assistive technology, we talk about accessibility of websites and apps and things like that. And we usually have guests come in and speak about the different things that they do, whether it's an app producer or it is somebody doing a tutorial, whether it's on your iPhone or in JAWS, which is the screen reader for Windows machines, a screen reader for Windows machines. Sometimes we do voiceover. I got to face it. There's not too many, there's not too many folks using a laptop or desktop Mac to warrant doing something with voiceover. Phones are a different story because most folks who are blind and low vision use an iPhone. Not all of them, but if you are blind or low vision, the iPhone is your better choice. There would be a few that disagree, but most of those folks have a little bit of sight and maybe don't need to rely on the screen reader on that, which is called TalkBack. So that's the first day. The second day, there's some meetings, and then my favorite part of the convention is the auction on Friday night. Liz and I have been reaching out to sports teams, and we've got all sorts of things that we'll be auctioning off that night. That's a lot of fun, especially since there's going to be an open bar. And when there's an open bar, we had a guy, I'm not going to mention his name, our chapter, the Keystone chapter one year I don't remember what we called it. It was basically a reading basket. It had Braille books. It had some large print books and maybe even a gift card or two for a bookstore, whether it was Amazon or Barnes & Noble. I don't remember. It had a couple of mugs so you can make tea or coffee in them. It might have even had tea or coffee in the basket. But primarily, it was books. Now, if you are unfamiliar or have never checked out a Braille book, they are huge. They are huge because a paperback book may be 300 pages and could easily be held for hours in your hand. The same book in Braille would not be tiny. It would be basically a 12 by 12 or so square with volumes because they couldn't put it all in one binding. And it is huge. And so this guy, now, it wasn't an open bar this year that he was bidding. He was bidding on this basket. I think he felt bad for the Keystone chapter, but he was bidding on this basket and he would bid, let's say, $100. No other bids came in. All right, I'll go to 125. So-and-so, there was no other bid. Do you want to keep it at 100? No, I'll go to 125. And then maybe somebody would bid. And then he would go up again. And then up again without anybody bidding on it. So it makes for a lot of fun when the bar is open. Similar to when we used to do our fantasy football draft at a bar and restaurant. And I was always happy when the people were drinking a lot because who knows who they're going to pick when they've had a few too many. And I would always agree if somebody needed, I would always pay for their drinks. So FC Tunguska could take home the title. And I did 1 year or 2 years in that league. That league doesn't exist anymore, sadly. That was the first league I ever played in. I forgot to mention Family Feud. We're doing a Family Feud contest on Thursday night and also an open bar, which also should make that interesting. But that was a lot of fun. We tried it out Liz and I tried it when we were at the convention in Vegas, the state convention of Nevada back in April. And it was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot of things. And we had that was already on our radar to do because the person who's going to be hosting it, her name is Pam, she hosts one every month on Zoom. So she's got it down. So that's going to be a lot of fun, whether the folks are bombed from the open bar or not. But that's going to be a lot of fun. And hopefully the things that we learned when we were in Vegas with the lack of microphones on the folks. And again, some of the people didn't quite get how Family Feud works, I don't think. So again, Pam's got it down. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Saturday is all meetings. And then Saturday night is a banquet where our national rep, who this year is Neil Lewis, will give a speech. And then Sunday, it's going to be a little bit different this year because Sunday is the actual birthday of the National Federation of the Blind, which happened to be in Pennsylvania, in Wilkes-Barre in 1940. So it's the 85th anniversary. We're going to do something. I can't say what at this point because I don't want to spoil the surprise. But usually on Sunday, we also do a business report, which sometimes could be long and a little sleepy. And we also do reports from all the chapters around the NFB and divisions around the NFBPA. So it's a lot of good stuff, but that's one of the things that has stolen my time. And I don't want to say it's stolen because I like doing it. But it's been a lot. One of the reasons why it's been a lot is our new website, nfbofpa.org. Back in June, we switched from WordPress, which I am very, very, very familiar with, to Drupal, which I am almost totally unfamiliar with. It was at a directive from the National Center. We were one of the last 3 states, and there's 52, just like the number of states. Oh, wait, there's only 50, right? So where are those 2 others? District of Columbia and Puerto Rico make up the other 2. We are one of the last 3. It was us, California, and I don't remember the other state. And they want a similar look and feel of all the affiliate websites. We said, okay, we'll do it. Our president had been holding off, and as I was telling someone earlier today, I spent 4 hours over the last 2 days trying to get a form to work right that it would have had completed from start to finish in about a half an hour to an hour. Again, 4 hours, and it's still not right. I still can't release that information because it's not 100%. And it's more than a matter of starting ugly. There would be things missing from the form that would be needed. So this website is absolutely killing me, whether it was to initially get our registration online, or this form for sponsors, or the form for the exhibit hall, or the form for the Senior Possibilities Fair, which I mentioned. So all of these things have just taken so much time away. And there's a few other things within the NFB of PA that have been going on over the last month that has unnecessarily taken a lot of time. Just Liz and I alone have probably spent somewhere between 25 and 50 hours fulfilling what we need to do to get this stuff together. 25 and 50 hours. Now, again, we're an all-volunteer organization. No one in the organization gets paid. And it is just a travesty of how we had to concentrate on that. So if we're doing that and the National Center has been helping with the accounting stuff and other folks within the affiliate, again, the affiliate means the NFB of PA, just the amount of time everybody has spent on it has been ridiculous. So instead of doing things to go out and build our organization, which is the number one thing, is to build the organization, because when you have that, you have more advocates and more advocacy when you go to Washington or you go to the state capitol for wherever you are, in our case, Harrisburg, to talk to lawmakers and decision makers. When you're concentrating on something else, it just steals time from doing that. And that has just been brutal. Now, one other thing that was great that has taken some of my time, and I thought once that came and went, I thought I would have more time to start doing more of this. And that was the Mid-Atlantic Student Seminar. That took place in early August, and it was, for our first one, I thought it was good. The programming was outstanding. The students came up with great content, and the folks who were there, and we probably missed our mark by about 50% of as far as attendance. Our hope was 50, and we had about 25. But it was outstanding. And it was good to meet some of the folks from the National Association of Blind Students, who were the ones who put it on, as well as meet some folks from around the state who I've never met before in person. And that part was nice. That was all good. Now, one of the bad things, and I've always worried about this, on the first night of the event, I have a folding cane. And so it's got bungee inside. So when I sit down at a table, instead of having that long cane sit under the table, maybe stick out and people trip over it, or propping it up against the wall and then forgetting exactly where you put it, you fold it. It breaks down. The one I have folded into 4 sections. And so to break it down, you pull it apart and then it folds. And then you pull another section apart. Well, there was always one section that was hard to pull apart. So I really had to struggle to pull it apart. Well, the bungee partially broke. There's 2 pieces of bungee that go through the entire cane. One of the bungees had broken and I couldn't get it to fold up and I couldn't get it to get back together where I could just leave it straight. So I don't remember. I think it was a Simpsons episode where the guy was a kicker and something happened to his leg and his leg was just like swinging back and forth. And that's what my cane was doing. So I had to get home that night because I didn't stay over. Some of the folks from the area stayed at the hotel. I came home every night. I was able to go and get a pair of scissors from the front desk at the hotel at the Hampton Inn, 1301 Race Street, and cut the excess that was sticking out that was stopping it from going together. It didn't do it perfectly, but it was enough to hold the cane together. The 2 parts went together, so at least I could still use it for the rest of that night. And it wasn't too big of an issue because we were in one room for that night. And it was a big room, but it was something that I was comfortable. Once you get, with a lot of blind folks, once you get comfortable to the room that you're in or your settings, you're okay. You just maybe leave your hand out a little bit so you can touch the chairs. And again, chairs are not set up in columns. They're kind of scattered. And so it makes it a little, people don't push the chairs in, makes that a little more difficult and so forth. And I did run into a chair more than once that night and probably the next 2 days too, because again, I didn't always have my cane on me. So I was able to get home that night, but it has always been one of my biggest fears that, and this was right in the middle. It wasn't like it was just at the bottom or near the top where I could just choke up on it or put my, just not worry about that section. This was right in the middle. So it was right in half where the bungee and it was, half was attached and half was swinging. So I used to always never leave home without a spare cane. Now, when I do have my backpack on me, I have what's called an essential cane keeper, which holds an old folding cane, which is super heavy. And I only use in an emergency. Now, I didn't have that on me because I didn't take my backpack. So the next day, Jackie was down. Jackie is my is my folding cane, and it's basically because there's a Jackie Robinson bat on keychain on my cane, so that when you're in a room full of blind people, I know which cane is mine. If it's got a baseball bat on it, that's mine. Nobody else has a baseball bat on theirs, and it's only a 2 or 3 inch bat that I think I've mentioned Jane bought for me a few years ago because I always wanted to go to the Jackie Robinson Museum, and she happened to be walking past it near my birthday and went in and got me this keychain. And like I've mentioned in a previous episode, have been there. So I didn't have my cane. I had to bring Nigel. Now, why is it Nigel? Because I have a little Beefeater keychain on that one, but it doesn't fold. So when you're getting in and out of the car, especially tricky when it's an Uber and it's a bunch of blind people getting in and out of a car because you got to kind of jockey around and, oh, my cane's not in. And if it's just me, sometimes it's just easy. You can pull it in and just lay it, bring it. So part of it goes under one of the seats up front and it just leans on the seat that I'm sitting in. But when there's a bunch of us, it makes it tricky. So I've since gotten a new cane, and Jackie, that has now become Jackie. Now this cane is much lighter, which I love, but the tip is just a solid metal tip. The tip on Jackie OG was what's called a marshmallow. So it's kind of thick. It's about maybe 2 inches tall. It's got a rotating bottom. So when I sweep back and forth, it makes it easy. There's no lag as I sweep back and forth. I don't tap because of my hands. The other thing about Jackie version 1.0 was it had a spring-loaded handle. So if I ran into something, it wasn't like abrupt and stopping right away. It had that spring. So it was it was cushioned. So the new cane that I have is way lighter, which is great, but it doesn't have that spring handle and it has the $2 cane tip, which does sound cool going up and down escalators where I like to drag it across the stair in front of me, and it drives Liz nuts. She doesn't realize I do it when she's not with me too. But it's always fun because it just makes a cool sound. And if you are blind and have not tried that, it's it's awesome. It puts a smile on my face when I do it. And I'm sure people are looking at me, but I don't care. So I, again, always worried about going out without a spare cane, because what do I do? I mean, in a pinch, you could always use a lot of things. I don't know, like that kid about a decade ago, because he kept walking into people with his cane, because again, that's what they're made for. They're made to touch something so you don't face plant into something, whether it's a wall, whatever. But he was using it at school and they took the cane away from him and gave him a pool noodle because that was softer. And if he hit anybody with it, that would be okay. Which is just ridiculous. You know, the kid in the wheelchair that runs over somebody's foot, they're not going to drag him out of the wheelchair because he did that. One of the other 8 million things that folks do to blind folks that just isn't fair sometimes. But just about any kind of straight, wooden dowel would work. As I was at Home Depot once and I had a lady wanted to scan my cane and said, where'd you get that curtain rod from? I said, it's not a curtain rod, it's a cane. And again, I talked about that in a previous episode as well. So all of those things, the Mid-Atlantic Student Seminar, the website has probably been the biggest issue. The website has just been killing me because on top of that is the state convention, and any one of those things was a lot, but combining the website with, as I was telling the NFBFPA president today, I said, it's getting overwhelming because the website is preventing me from doing more outreach to different sponsors and trying to get sponsors. I have a list of about 200 of the top businesses in Pennsylvania, Wawa, Comcast, all of those places that I want to reach out to get a nice sponsorship participation for the convention where we can, have some money coming in. This is basically the biggest fundraiser that the affiliate, the National Federation of the Blind of Pennsylvania, has each year. We get the money from that because we spend a lot of money at the convention. We subsidize the meals. We subsidize the rooms and give financial aid to folks who can't necessarily support going for 4 days in a hotel room, even at $119 a night, plus the travel expenses. Now, fortunately, Amtrak, it's very inexpensive to get from Philadelphia to Harrisburg, but coming from Pittsburgh to Harrisburg, that's a different story. You're probably looking at between $75 and $100 round trip from Pittsburgh to Harrisburg and back if you take the train. And it takes a long time, too. That's another story. That's another story. So all of that, as well as that other thing that I mentioned within the NFB, that part is done for now. So it is something that we don't have to worry about. Now, one of the things that I also wanted to bring up, and I need your opinion, and if you're listening, it really won't affect you, but if you're watching this, how would you feel if I did this with sunglasses on? Because one of the issues that I have, and I noticed it a few days ago when I did an episode of Federation Focus on the NFB channel, NFBFPA channel, I can't see at all once I finish recording this for probably 10 to 15 minutes. Now, I have a bright light to my left, about 18 inches to my left, and I have a bright light to my right that's probably about 3 or 4 feet away. The camera's in the middle, so I'm not really looking at the camera. I'm not really looking at the lights, but because the best part of vision I have is in the lower left, as I like to say, low and away of my left eye, that's exactly where the light is. So when I finish up, I cannot see anything on my screen, and I basically either will go and listen to something, and sometimes listening to something means putting on the TV and listening, or the other night after I did Federation Focus, I went and I did the dishes. nothing to see there. I don't need to see anything. I put the AirPods in, listen to podcasts or music, usually podcasts. So would that put you off if you watched me with sunglasses on? Now, I do not want to wear the Oakleys. While they're great for the sun, I just need something that covers my eyes. I don't need the wraparound because the sun's not coming in from over my left or right shoulder. And how would you feel? Would you watch somebody do a video, a talking head video for the most part? And I know sometimes I do B-roll, like I did in Federation Focus this week. Go check it out. I thought it came out pretty good. Would that bother you? I know when I watch a talking head video, it doesn't matter what they do because I can't really see them. And I sit there in the chair and don't necessarily even look at the screen because it doesn't matter. And then sometimes they'll put a graph or a chart up or something, and again, lost on me unless they're telling me what the numbers are in the chart. So let me know in the comments down below if you're watching on YouTube, or you can always shoot me an email. I can't see you podcast@gmail.com. I can't see you podcast@gmail.com. And that's my question for you for this week. Now, I have one other thing to talk about, and I know some of you over the years have participated and helped out the NFBFPA. We are doing the Student Scholarship Raffle. And what that is, you get a 3-digit number for $5. And let's say the number is 123, 123. If that number comes up anytime in October, now we're not associated with any lottery, but we're in Pennsylvania, so you do the math there, and you can figure out what lottery I'm talking about. It's the evening drawing. I recently participated one in Maryland, and my number came up, but it was at their afternoon drawing. So I won nothing. And so $5, if that number comes up 3 times in the month, they're probably going to investigate, but you would win. And if you win Sunday through Friday, you win $50. If you win on Saturday, you win $100. You don't have to email anybody, hey, my number came up. You don't have to do that. You will get a check a few weeks after the end of October. So by mid-November, you will have a check for your winnings. If you buy more than one and you win a couple of times, you'll get one check. So if you would like a ticket, please reach out. I can't see you podcast@gmail.com. I can't see you podcast@gmail.com. I am hoping that we can sell all of our tickets. That would be obviously 1,000 from 000s to 999s. And if that were to happen, the payout is somewhere about $1,800 or $1,900. I don't remember the actual number. So that means the affiliate would make somewhere between $3,000 and $3,300. I don't remember the math completely, but if everybody all the numbers are sold, every night is a winner. I don't know how many Saturdays are in October this year, but every Saturday in October, that's $100. I think there's 5 because I think Halloween is on Friday. Nope. Saturday. Well, I don't remember, but you'll check it out. If you would like one of those raffle tickets or several, again, reach out to me. I can't see you podcast@gmail.com, and we will collect the money, and Liz will fill out your ticket, and I will take a picture of your ticket stub, and you'll be good to go. And then you'll be excited, even if you're not in Pennsylvania, to keep track like I did it for the Maryland lottery back in I think it was in May. And hopefully you have a winner. And I know, and I've said this on Federation Focus pushing these, there has been, I think it was in May and June, the end of May, 888s came out, and within 10 days, 888s came out again. So there is a chance that you win twice. 3 times may be pushing it, but there is a chance with one ticket you win twice. 10 days is not that long of a time. Now, it did happen over the course of 2 months because it was at the end of May and then the beginning of June. So it could happen. If you would like them, please reach out to me. I would love to sell you some and help the scholarship fund be fully funded for next year. We're fully funded for this year, thanks to last year's raffle sales, as well as a donation from the Lions Club, which is greatly appreciated for that. So if you'd like, please reach out. That'll do it for this episode of I Can't See You. I really do appreciate you sticking with me for this because it has been difficult, and I do really want to figure out how I can get on a schedule to both produce video and audio content. I've toyed with the idea of breaking an episode up into shorter episodes of the podcast and video where maybe I record every day, but only for 10 minutes, and then edit that down and release individual videos on YouTube, but combine them for a podcast episode. So as I struggle to figure that out, if you want more of me for whatever reason that may be, go check out the NFB of Pennsylvania YouTube channel, youtube.com/@NFB of PA. You can also listen to White Canes Connect. Occasionally, I am on That Real Blind Tech Show, and I've been on, I think, the last one or two, and I am going to be recording in a couple of days with Brian and the gang there, which is always a lot of fun. Again, it's like a morning TV show. Some of it is not even blindness related. The last few episodes I've been on, we've talked about about a place in Alabama where all the lost luggage goes. And we've talked about, I want to say poop on the moon or poop on Mars. I don't remember what the story was there, but that's a few episodes ago. Those were the things, again, maybe a little tech related, but not blindness related. And the airline lost luggage thing, not related to either, unless you travel. And again, when you travel and you're blind, the chances of you finding your suitcase, especially if you don't know what color it is, and you say, oh, I think it's black, but meanwhile it's leopard print, that can be a problem too. I do appreciate you, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast. Please reach out if you have any questions, comments, show ideas, whatever you have. I can't see you podcast at gmail.com. I can't see you podcast at gmail.com is how you can email me. You can also give a call, 646-926-6350. You've got up to 3 minutes. Leave your name and town if you do leave a voicemail. Now, there is one other way that we've started to use on White Canes Connect. Maybe you have a little bit more to say than 3 minutes. You can always do a voice memo on your phone, record that, and email it to ican'tseeyouPodcast@gmail.com, and then I'll get it, and I can use that on an upcoming episode. If you got a lot to talk about, that may be your way to go. You can also reach out on the socials at David Benj, DavidBenj. My middle name is Benjamin. At David Benj on all of the popular ones, except for TikTok. I Can't See You podcast over there. I don't usually post there because again, too much time doing all these other things. So at David Benj, if you want to connect on the socials, I've given you the phone and the email. I'm sorry it's been so long. I really love doing this, and it's bothered me that it's been so long because I just didn't have any kind of time with these deadlines for the forums and deadlines for another thing, affiliate related. But thank you so much. Be well, stay safe, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.
Thank you for joining David on this episode of I Can't See You. Please subscribe on your favorite platform. Like and comment on this episode on YouTube.
Thank you for listening to the I Can't See You podcast with David. Please rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen. And don't forget to share the podcast with your friends.